Hey everyone, Percy here. Okay, now recently I was contacted by a new company, a new plugin developer called Lunacy Audio. They asked me if I wanted to take a look at their newly released first plugin instrument called Cube. Have to say that before they contacted me, already online I saw some teasers or something like that, so I was already interested in this product. So of course I said, sure, I'll take a look at it. Now they sent me a copy, and so today we're gonna take a look at Cube by Lunacy Audio.
Supercy.
Okay, Cube by Lunacy Audio. Now I will leave a link in the description. By the way, I was also given a kind of discount code, which I will also leave in the description. So should you be interested, use that code. It should give you a 10% discount. Now, once you've downloaded it, this is what it's going to look like. But what is it? So what is Cube? Now, Cube is basically a sample-based virtual instrument. So it's a sample-based virtual instrument, but with kind of a unique approach on how to create sounds, or how to create patches rather. Alright, now let's take a look at the interface, which by the way may look a little bit daunting at first, but I promise you in the end you will see that it is absolutely not complicated at all. Alright, now let's start up here. Now, with these 5 buttons we can navigate through the different pages in Cube. As you can see, we are now on the main page. Now, the most prominent feature on this page is obviously that cube shape in the middle, which of course has 8 different corners like any cube does. But the corners in Cube are extremely important. I will tell you all about that, and to do that we will circle back to this page in a minute, but let's first go to the sounds page. Now this is basically where it all starts. Now first of all, here we can see another cube, but now the corners of the cube have been assigned a letter. Now down here we have 8 different parts, and also these parts have been assigned a letter. Now of course the letters in these parts down here correspond with the letters in the cube. Now these parts, these 8 parts, are basically independent sample editors. So 8 different sample editors. So let's focus on the first one. Already here we have some editing options, but let's click on this one to actually open the editor and to see some more editing options. Now here we can select a sample from the library, so let's just pick one. Okay, let's close the browser, and then here we can edit that sample, so we can shorten it, we can reverse, loop. Here we have some envelope settings, tone settings, pan tuning, volume. We, by the way, are now on the basic view. There's also a tweak view, so if we select that we get some more options. Here we have some loop time options, some arpeggiator options. So there's quite a bit we can do with the editor. By the way, we also can use some modulators. If you look down here, if you want to activate them, just click over here and you can see that 4 LFOs and a macro will appear. And if you click on either one of them, you can see what you can modulate with that particular modulator. So let's say that we want to modulate the high pass filter with LFO1. Just drag it over and let go, and now we are actually modulating the high pass filter. By the way, you can activate the modulators from any page in this instrument. Okay, now let's go back to the overview. Okay, so now we've selected and edited a sample for the first editor, and thereby also the first corner of the cube. But of course we can also do that for the 7 remaining editors, and thereby of course also the 7 remaining corners of the cube. Okay, now let's say that we filled all the corners of the cube with samples. So what can we do with that? Well, for that let's go to the next page, which is called Orbits. Now orbits, if you ask me, this is kind of the heart of this instrument. Now here we can see that cube again, but now in the middle we can see an orange, is it orange? Yeah, an orange circle or ball, whatever you want to call it. And that ball kind of determines the intensity of any of the sounds. So basically, the closer it gets to any of the sounds, the louder that sound will be, and conversely of course the further away the quieter. So let me demonstrate. Let me first play something. Let me press a key. Okay, now because it's in the middle, all the different sounds are equally loud. But now let me bring it closer to one of the corners, like this. And let me play it again. All right, let me push it back. All right, let's bring it up. So as you can clearly hear, every corner sounds different. Not necessarily different samples, some maybe edited a little bit different, but every corner sounds different. Now with orbits, we can kind of automate the movement of that ball. And as I understand it, there are basically two ways of doing that. So let's first create a new orbit. The first way is to use the orbit stepper. The orbit stepper is, it's pretty self-explanatory. So let's go to step one. Step one is here. Step two, I want it to go, over there. Then add another step. Step 3 is here. Then step 4 is, let's say, somewhere here. Oh, let's see, somewhere here. Yeah. Then we want another step like this. Step 6 is going all the way there, but then to the back. Okay, all right, let's see what we got. So let's get out of edit and let's press a key. Okay, now we can also, it's now set to 1 bar. We can make it go half a bar. Okay, then here we have some more options. We can make it cycle or not. Okay, and here we can play with the intensity. Here we have some offset settings, and we can also make it rotate along the x-axis, the y-axis, and obviously the z-axis. Now, and then we can also use the axis sculptor. So we can make this ball do some things along the horizontal axis, the vertical axis, and also in terms of depth. So basically the 3 dimensions. So let's go to the horizontal and then let's add a square shape. And then let's add a triangle over here. And depth, let's see, let's choose this one. Let's see what this sounds like. All right, let's make some changes now. Okay, let's try something else. And of course we can still use the global settings over here. Now we also have the possibility of using presets, because there are quite a few presets over here we can also use. Let's listen to what this sounds like. You know, and I mean, I could play with this for hours. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Okay, now let's move on to the modulation page, because I already talked about modulating LFOs. Well, here we can see the 4 LFOs, and here we can make changes to the LFO. So of course we can change the rate, intensity, we can also use steps. We can even modulate the modulators. Remember the corner down here, open the modulators, and you know, with these modulators down here, we can modulate the modulators. So that's funny. Okay, then we can also open the mod matrix, and here we can basically see whatever is going on in terms of modulation across the entire instrument. Okay, let's move on to the effects page. Now here we can basically see all the built-in effects modules within the instrument. And of course we can make changes to them. So first of all, we can activate or deactivate each of the modules by clicking here. And then of course here we can make changes to any of the modules. Now finally, let's go back to the main page. On the main page there are a few things we can play with. We have the ether slider, which will affect the intensity of the sound. That's quite a difference. We have the macro knob, which will also affect the sound. Not exactly sure what goes on under the hood, but you know, there is a difference there. And then of course we have the filter, and that is pretty self-explanatory. But it sounds pretty good. So that's all about the pages. Just a few more things. So first of all, here we have some buttons with which we can randomize some stuff. So first of all, we can randomize sounds, we can randomize orbit, and we can also randomize effects. Then here we can activate or deactivate the eco mode. Well, if you activate eco mode, some features will be disabled, and you will also be limited to only one sampler instead of 8 normally. And that of course will have a positive effect on your CPU. And then finally up here we have a knob for activating or deactivating the cube graph. And here we can show or hide some global controls. This is a panic button, and this is the settings button. And that is basically the entire interface of Cube. Okay, so what do I think of cubes? Now, let's start with the interface. Again, if you see it for the first time, it looks kind of complicated. And mainly because it's so different from basically anything we've seen before. But I have to say it is actually very easy to understand, you know, because it's all been laid out so logically. You know, it's actually very easy to edit sounds and to basically create patches. You know, so yeah, I really like the interface. And then the basic idea behind this instrument. So, you know, basically the engine and the 8 samplers and the cube and the corners and the orbits, you know, they themselves call it revolutionary. Well, I think I kind of need to agree with that, because I don't think I've ever really seen something quite like this. And it really opens the door to new endless possibilities, you know, and for that, I'm really excited about this instrument. And then something that kind of surprised me actually, and that is, you know, I've been messing around with this instrument for a few days now, and my CPU didn't have any issues with me opening up multiple instances, and I'm talking 10, maybe more instances of Cube. No problem at all. I didn't even use eco mode. And, you know, that surprised me because I really thought that this instrument, you know, as sophisticated as it is, would really be heavy on my CPU. But, you know, I haven't done any scientific testing, to be fair, but so far, no problem at all. And that kind of surprised me. Now, and then there is something that I just have to mention, not necessarily a positive point. It's also not as negative as it may sound at first, I think. And also, you know, it's already been announced that this will be resolved in the near future. And that is that at this moment, it is not yet possible to bring in your own samples. You cannot add your own samples. Now, again, may sound pretty negative. And yeah, of course, theoretically, it's better to have an option than not to have an option. But, you know, this thing comes with over 100 samples. You know, these were, as they themselves say, expertly crafted. And I agree with that. I mean, the samples really sound well recorded, well edited, you know, and I think that it's very beneficial to the vast majority of us to have well-crafted samples in an instrument like this. And on top of that, I think, you know, this thing has so much to offer. There's so much to discover still that it'll probably take some time before you exhaust all the samples that are in it now. And then on top of that, as I already mentioned, it's already announced that they will be offering more samples, probably in the form of packs or something like that. And also they will be adding the possibility of adding your own samples in the near future, you know, but I just have to mention it because as it stands now, it is not yet possible. But all in all, I have to say that this is a pretty unique idea. It gives us a lot of new options in terms of creating new sounds, new patches. It's very user-friendly, if you ask me. You know, again, I'm just very excited about this new plugin. So yeah, thumbs up to Lunacy Audio. So that's about it from me for now about Cube. Go check it out for yourself and let me know what you think about it. Leave a comment below. And by the way, again, if you're interested, don't forget the discount code in the description. Okay? Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.